How folks are responding to Doechii getting her things lets us know how hard it is for dark-skinned female artists to make it in this industry. The nerve of folks to say she's making Harriett Tubman music. There's a reason why they don't use language like that when they talk about any of the other female artists, and only the dark-skinned ones. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black feet on.
Notice how I said dark-skinned artist. Drake, you will pay for your crimes. What's going on, you all? I want to talk about this recent Doechii hate. And we know what it's giving. We know where it's coming from. And it's something that a lot of us have talked about. A lot of us have, discussed how hard it is for dark-skinned female artists to be successful, to even get attention, and how they are treated. If they even make it out and the label pushes them, they have to deal with things like this. There was a tweet that got a lot of attention earlier this month, I think it was last month, where someone said that Doechii was making Harriett Tubman music. And you have some folks agreeing and saying, yeah, it's something about her. I don't get it. The music's not necessarily for me. And it does give that. Like, people were associating Doechii's music with slave music, which makes no sense because on the other hand, you have folks arguing and saying that Doechii, quote unquote, stole her sound and aesthetic from Azealia Banks, which doesn't make any sense because Azealia Banks doesn't own that version of music. Even bringing Azealia Banks in the conversation, a dark-skinned female artist as well, who has struggled to become mainstream, because of her antics, but as well as her being dark-skinned. There's less grace for a dark-skinned female artist, even as talented as Azealia Banks. Azealia Banks has, she's said some problematic things. She's done some messed up stuff. And so have other male rappers and artists and things. And you don't see the same thing. So we understand by definition how misogyny works and how men can say and do these things and there's no repercussion or barely anything. But if a female artist does it, it's a little bit more shame. You don't hear conversations about female artists being a bad mother. Like, you don't really see that, because if they were even a thought of them being a bad mother, they would not have a career at all. The same thing is said about men, even Future and other men who's the R&B artist who doesn't take care of his kids, but is about to go on tour. So I can't think of his name, but those things don't stick on them like that. It doesn't stick on them. Like, men can be bad fathers, not show up, don't even know their children's birthday and all that. And the critique is not the same. So we understand how different it is for a female artist and how misogyny plays. But when it comes to black artists, black dark-skinned female artists, think about how Normani was treated the last couple of years and how people were not rooting for her. They wanted to see her fail. Like, say what you want to say. People wanted to see Normani fail. When her album came out earlier this year, people were immediately trashing it and saying all types of things. You have folks who've been on Twitter for the last 4 or 5 years and following stan accounts now thinking they know A&R. And they were saying that Normani wasn't doing what she was supposed to do and all the other stuff. Yes, Normani could have done a little bit better. She could have did a better job of promoting her album. But to say that she wasn't, or nitpicking everything when there are other artists who do the same thing. They don't do a good job of promoting their music. They don't want to. A lot of them don't want to do all of that, and they might not like what the label chose or wanted them to go, or the direction. We also have to understand this, and we understand the game, and we are accepting of the game when it comes to certain female artists. But when it comes to certain ones like Normani, it's just like, oh girl, no ma'am. Because they don't have any grace. They're not giving as much grace as the others. And we're seeing that in this Doechii conversation. The nerve of folks saying that she is a plant, even to the point where people were saying that TDE is promoting Doechii more than Megan after they dropped Megan. Megan has never been signed to TDE. She's signed to nobody. She does have a partnership with Roc Nation. But the fact that folks don't understand it, they just be saying stuff. They just be saying things, and you get enough people saying the same thing, a lot of folks will start to believe it. Doechii has been working hard. Doechii deserves everything. Let me just say that. Doechii deserves every bit of attention she is getting in 2024. Doechii deserves everything. I have seen her perform when I went to Doja Cat's concert last year. She was the headliner. I specifically wanted to go see Doechii, and she did not disappoint. Doechii is that girl. She is that girl. And Doechii has bust her butt. She can afford to be mediocre. That's why folks are shocked, because now you have seen a label get this dark-skinned girl and push her like an artist is supposed to be pushed. Like, push them out. Like, they're being everywhere they need to be. They're on this show. They're on this. We are seeing what labels are supposed to do, what they bill themselves as doing. And Doechii is now shocking the girls because she is talented. You have seen, and it's no shade, just examples. Artists who jumped up this quick cannot perform on stage, cannot perform in front of a small audience, do not have it, do not even know their lyrics to their music, are just not good performers. You've seen them shot up. You've seen them be everywhere and constantly make mistakes. We've not seen it with Doechii yet. You've not seen it with Doechii yet, and you probably won't. You probably won't, because homegirl has been getting it in the mud because she knows she ain't got no choice. She cannot get on a stage in front of Rolling Loud and not perform well. She'll never get a chance again. They'll never give her the chance. But Doechii is not just riding off of vibes, because that's the excuse that folks were using for certain artists who could not perform, that it's just vibes. It's just vibes. But what it is basically colorism. Yeah, that's what it, colorism, featureism, all of the things like anti-blackness jumping out, and people are using different type of excuses to describe why they like other artists and give them plenty of leeway to make mistakes and grow. But you're not going to see that with Doechii. Doechii is not going to be able to make those same mistakes. Not saying she will never make them, but they're not going to be as bad as the others because she can afford it. She wouldn't have gotten any opportunity had she been making those same type of mistakes. She wouldn't be getting them. Let's be completely honest. We are having surface conversations constantly about colorism to the point that folks are associating featureism with colorism. It's like, girl, no. Like, they're in the same family of anti-blackness, but featureism is a thing. Like, folks were trying to describe, oh, you know, this is color. No, it's not. It's featureism too, because how your face looks, even if you are like black, how your face looks matters. There's a reason why Lil Nas X talked about growing up in high school and how folks made fun of his big lips and his big nose, because that was that. Like, I went to school, folks made jokes about things like that, and then we be shook when folks have had nose jobs and, you know, did all these other things to make themselves appear less black, because that is associated with ugliness. That's why I talk about desirability so much, because the politics of desire, again, decides who lives and who doesn't. And it also decides whose career is successful and whose doesn't, no matter how talented you are. Like, if you're not being pushed, because the industry knows, the label knows that we are consuming artists, not just based on music, but also how they look, because that matters so much. That's why I feel some type of way about stan pages constantly talking about certain artists and their body and this and that. Oh, they look good, because this matters. Like, it's funny, but it's just, this matters. The body T that makes an artist, like, that matters. And artists have been talking about that. Pink talked about it in several songs, how the label wants you to have this body. That's basically anti-fatness, period. Like, that's basically that. Just, you have to have a specific body. You cannot look this certain type of way because people are not going to take you serious. And yes, Doechii being like thin helps her as well. Like, you know, if she was a little bit heavier, it would be even more difficult as we talk about the industry and how we consume artists as a whole. We're not going to see a lot of heavy set, fat artists being taken serious. We don't have any of the mainstream girls. You know, we don't have that many of them that are mainstream, that are dark skinned, and we don't have probably any that are fat. They might be talking about being fat in the right quote unquote areas. Love my girl, but I didn't really like that verse. But yes, it's just because even they understand how desire works. Is that, you know, your body, you know, proportions matter. You know, we say it like, oh, you know, we say it in the music because we understand that is what people want, like body T. That's why I hate that. The same folks who use body T be upset with folks saying big back. All of it is associated to anti-fatness, with being thin as possible. That's why you're seeing an uptick of celebrities slimming down to the point that they are visibly thin. We're seeing that come back because the quote unquote Kardashian body is going away. Like, that is being associated with ghetto because now it is so accessible that even when I was sitting in a room with some white folks at this party, I heard them talk about it. Like, this white girl was saying, yeah, you can just get a BBL and you know, and your teeth done in Atlanta because, you know, they associate Atlanta with blackness. And now that BBLs and all these things are associated with blackness, you know, it's ghetto. It's like, oh, we don't want that anymore. But these bodies have always been associated with blackness, period. So we're just seeing a full recycle of that. That's why it's important to read books that talk about things like this, specifically with anti-blackness and anti-fatness and how they coexist. One of my favorite books that talks about this is Fearing the Black Body by Sabrina Strings. Check it out. It's one of my favorites, as well as my friend Doechii Harrison and the book The Belly of the Beast. Check that out, because these things, these systems, we see them like there's language to describe the things that are happening. And it's, you know, it's not something that's made up where everything is made up, but it's something like, okay, we're associating this, like we are studying and understanding where these things come from. And we're seeing this in how Doechii is being talked about, being associated with slave. Like, when we think about slaves, we think about somebody who's dark skinned. We think about somebody who has a big nose, big lips. We associate that with being quote unquote African. Like, we associate that with blackness, like dark skin. And it's not a coincidence that that's been associated with Doechii's music. Even though Doechii has done pop music, her rapping hip hop and with this strong voice and how she's articulating, you know, her verses and how she feels about like the things she's talking about is too much. You're already being masculine in how you're presenting this music and these verses. Like, the voice is there. We associate hip hop with masculinity, unfortunately, but Doechii being a dark-skinned woman performing it, it's like, it's too much. The same way as if a lighter-skinned female artist or rapper raps like this, it's like, oh, because it's just enough softness for us to accept. Maybe think about the conversation that was happening the other day on social media about how light-skinned women with locks are perceived, and how they are seen as good energy and good people, and all of these things, where if there was someone who was darker skinned, or far darker, they wouldn't be looked at as the same. Even how people have started using Chika, the black female rapper's picture, as a meme to associate with not liking black kids because of her tweet going viral about how she felt sitting next to some kids that were allowed on the airplane. That one instance of her being, you know, disgusting, whatever you want to call it, is now stamped on her forever. Like, it's stamped on her. Like, yeah, she has a history of saying some, you know, messed up stuff, but the way these things stick, and not just stick when people remember it, but also affect their career even more, to the point that we were tolerating you, but now we are not really interested at all. Like, Chika's a very talented female, like, rapper, like very, like, her wordplay is genius. But that, you know, in other moments of her like going at it on Twitter and social media, you know, no way in the hell people are giving her any more opportunities. And, you know, she's dealing with the constant bullying of her and her body. And it's just like, we play this. Remember the video I did about the memification of ugliness, how we use certain pictures and memes of folks who are seen as less desirable, and associated with jokes. Even, you know, Tokyo Tony. I love using Tokyo Tony, but like, there's a thing that is happening, and, you know, to me, this might be the new version of blackface. There's been conversations about this and how memes is the new version of that. So Doechii is dealing with all of these things in these systems, and folks are shocked to see her because we've not seen a dark-skinned female artist, female rapper get this type of attention in a minute. So for her to come on the stage and just like pop, 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 like eat it down, she has no choice. Like she has no choice but to bring it. And the girls are shook, like seeing her and how she's performing. They like, what is going on? This is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to look like. And I want you all to go back. And I'm trying to say this without coming off like a butthole. But think about how many female artists that have been light-skinned over the last couple of years that we've seen constantly mess up on stage, not have the stage presence, not be able to rap, as good as the others, get opportunity after opportunity. Look how many times they've been able to make mistakes and, they're still invited to things. Doechii has been out since 2022. We've not seen her at the famous Met Gala. We've not seen her do that. And Doechii has been delivering like her fashions, like her looks. Like the girl is good. The girl is good. Say it like I like Doechii is talent. Like she is that. And going back looking at her videos, she started off as a creator. She was doing YouTube videos, and she did a video where she talked about she just wants to fast forward and just like she wants to be performing and doing the thing.
And I've been really aggravated with this adult. And I just been feeling like I just want to chase my dreams. I just want to be like, oh my God, everything. I'm moving to California. I'm following my dreams. Oh God, I'm a performer. I'm an entertainer. I'm a star. All just go. But I can't, because you have to have rent. You have to have a place to live. You have to have money. You have to maintain things. And that's just the way of life.
She's been wanting this. She's been wanting this. And, she's getting it. Well deserved. Well deserved. Like, homegirl is versatile. Homegirl is very versatile. Like, the way she was able to do crazy, she's the talent. And people don't know how to take that. People don't know how to take it because they're not used to it, because they've not seen dark-skinned female rappers in a minute get these type of opportunities. And shout out to TDE because they got the girl. Like, I would not be surprised if we see Doechii at the Super Bowl. Every performance that the girl has given has been good. Like, every performance. And to the folks who say they don't like the music and this is not their style, they don't like it, shut up. Shut up. The reason why I'm saying shut up is because we don't get many Doechiis. We don't. And I just don't understand, for the love of God, why you need to come out and say that you don't like the music. Why do you feel comfortable saying that you don't like the music? You already know how hard it is for dark-skinned female rappers to even exist. And to say the music is not for you, I don't like it or whatever, why would you add more to that? I don't get what you get out of saying that you don't like it, knowing the history of dark-skinned female rappers. I don't get it. I wouldn't lend my voice to that conversation in no way, shape, or form. I wouldn't do it because I know how hard it is. I'm not going to be offering my opinion so people who have not deconstructed their own biases of why they don't like her to use to support their claims. This is why we have to check in with the things that we say. This is why. If you don't like the music, you just don't like the music. I get that. But I don't know why people feel like they are next level or something different because they don't like it. I don't like country music. I have joked about not liking it. Like, I've joked, and it's a running joke about me not liking country music. I've explained how country music makes me feel and all the things, but I'm not coming out and, oh girl, I'm just not doing that because I don't see the reason for it. Even in the defense of Cowboy Carter and Shaboozey, I wasn't listening to the albums that they put out, but I don't like the fact that they were disrespected. I'm not going to be coming out and ragging on them knowing it's going to be used against them. I'm not doing that. I need folks to unpack why they don't like it. And you're not going to give me an excuse of it's just not for you. If you're going to feel so like I need to share this with the world or why I don't like this, or why I'm not feeling it and all the other stuff. And I know I've gotten off subject, but I just wanted to make sure that we're understanding the systems and things that is the reason, it could be the reason why a lot of folks are responding to Doechii in the way they are. Calling it Harriett Tubman music again is them associating this dark-skinned female rapper with slave music. And, you know, it's no coincidence that that same argument was used by Drake in response to Kendrick Lamar. This dark-skinned male rapper talking about his experiences of growing up on the West Coast and just talking about life in general, and being very there with how he spits. Like, I don't know what to call it, but how he articulates and how he's able to rap, associating that with slavery music. Drake did that intentional. Drake wishes he could rap like that. Drake saying that was really a way of him showing us his deep insecurities with his own blackness. Like, he associates this with like blackness, something that he'll never be able to obtain, which is why he keeps bringing up he a light skin, but he's still a dark. Like, he is struggling with that. And the person that he's beefing with, he is now calling him making slave music. Like, come on now. You don't hear that same conversation happen to other rappers who are not dark skinned. And there is a critique that the reason why Drake was able to be as successful as he is because his music and his image is palatable to white audiences. He is palatable. Like, honestly, no shade. Drake is like Elvis to me. He's very palatable to the general public. Even to the comment of Drake being Target music. You know, McDonald's sells all of these burgers, millions of burgers a day. That don't mean that folks are going to McDonald's for a good burger, which is why Drake has to be open 24/7. Drake has to tour 24/7, because the moment he takes a break, that is a long time, he will be replaced. And we're seeing that right now. I hate that I spent so much time talking about everything else, but I think this conversation is deeper than just Doechii. Again, I think Homegirl is very talented. And I apologize for talking about these men's and not focusing too much on Doechii, but I feel like this conversation is deeper than her, and there's a reason why they are associating her with slave music, Harriett Tubman, and all of that. Doechii is very talented, and that makes a lot of folks nervous. And there's some other thoughts I have, because we allow certain other artists, female artists, to rap certain music that is more quote unquote sexual. Doechii's music is sexual if you pay attention to the words, but Doechii isn't going to get the same amount of grace to rap like certain other girls, because folks don't want to desire Doechii. And when I say that, I'm not saying that Doechii is not attractive. I think she's very beautiful. I love seeing her talk. She looks good. Her Breakfast Club interview, amazing. But a lot of us, unfortunately, want to desire our artists. We want to desire them, even if we don't want to be in bed with them. We want to desire them to consume them. And I think artists need to pay attention to, if folks are only desiring you, what does that say about your actual talent or lack thereof? That's all I got. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.